One of the oldest, but yet still most relevant forms of communication we still have today is the radio. No matter what new form of communication gets developed over the years, when a bad storm comes our way and the TV goes out, the lights go out, and the phones are dead, we can almost always still count on the radio to keep us informed about what's going on. Today, I would like to talk to you more about the history of the radio and its influences on our society. Just think, nowadays when you get into your car, one of the first things you do is put on the radio and listen to music. It is our go-to thing to do, which is to listen to the device which is over 100 years old. I have done a lot of research on the radio at the library, and today I would like to talk to you and share that knowledge with you that I have learned from the Bookshire Encyclopedia of World History, Great Scientific Achievements, and a book on Guglielmo Marconi, who is credited with being an instrumental person in the development of the radio. As we talk about the history of the radio, we will talk about who invented it, what it has contributed to our society, and the challenges the radio faces in being used as a medium of communication. Many different scientists were involved in the invention of the radio as we know it today. The first theoretical hypothesis of a wireless means of transmitting information came from James Clerk Maxwell of Britain sometime in the 1860s. However, it took German physicist Heinrich Hertz to prove that theory in 1880. Hertz caused an electric spark to jump from one metal sphere, which resulted in periodic oscillations, also known as Hertzian waves. When the oscillations occurred in a wire, it created radio waves in the surrounding space. Due to the experiment performed by Heinrich Hertz, we use the unit of a hertz to measure radio frequency. Unfortunately, Hertz never continued to broaden on the idea of radio telegraphy, and it took a man who was only 13 years old at the time of Hertz's experiment to play the ultimate key role in the development of the radio. According to Guglielmo Marconi by Ellen Bailey, Guglielmo Marconi was an Italian electrical engineer who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1909 for his work with wireless telegraphy. He is credited with being the pioneer of wireless telegraphy and great scientific achievements by Press Salem. Marconi used a spark transmitter to generate radio waves that were modulated to form dots and dashes of Morse code. The sparks created an electromagnetic disturbance that sent radio waves across different frequencies. Marconi became a hero in 1912 when he was credited with rescuing the 700 people left stranded in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when the Titanic sank, due to a nearby radio operator who was able to hear the Titanic's wireless distress signal. However, since Marconi's wireless telegraphy operated using multiple radio frequencies, it was the invention of Reginald Aubrey Fessenden who allowed us to be able to listen to voices and music over the radio. Fessenden was able to produce a continuous radio wave that kept to one frequency. In 1906, the first voice broadcast was done in Brant Rock, Massachusetts, and was received in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Later that year, Fessenden broadcasts reached a station that he had built in Scotland. By the 1920s, AM radio stations were by the hundreds, and in 1927, NBC was established, with CBS following a year later. In the 1930s, FM radio technology was perfected by Edwin Armstrong. FM radio offered better sound and a more predictable coverage area. In the late 1990s, digital radio entered into our new technology, but that has not stopped the wide use of traditional AM/FM radio, and many doubt that it ever will. Radio has impacted our society in many ways. In 1910, it was credited with helping to capture a British fugitive by the name of Hawley Harvey Crippen. In 1912, it was credited with helping to save the lives of the 700 people stranded in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when the Titanic sank. In the 1930s, radio was used as a means of entertainment and information to the U.S. people who were struggling to make it through the trying times of the Great Depression, according to the Berkshire Encyclopedia of World History by Christopher Sterling. Also in the 1930s, Nazi official Joseph Goebbels bent the medium to promote German ideas as well as to invoke fear into those that could become his enemies. Other leaders, such as Fidel Castro, who was elected in 1959, often used the radio to make long speeches to his people of Cuba. The radio has constantly been used all across the world for political elections and debates. The radio has constantly shaped history, and today is primarily used to listen to music. It still gives us early warning signs to possible weather-related disasters and still keeps us informed on political topics as well as sports and other talk radio. What makes the radio a weak medium of communication is the impossibility of seeing the person who is speaking to you. Body language makes up a lot of what people are truly trying to say, so with the radio you have to rely on what the person is saying is what they really mean, which often is not the case. There are also still limits to radio signaling in which you may have a dead zone and lose contact with the person you are trying to speak to. The ultimate downfall to the radio is that there is no picture evidence to see what is really going on. You are relying again on the idea that you are being told the truth. It was much easier in Nazi Germany of the 1930s to install fear because people did not have other means to be able to doubt what they were being told was untrue. In today's society, through television, the internet, social networks, so on and so forth, it is harder to keep people in the dark, and it is slowly becoming harder to brainwash people to believe everything they are told. However, the radio has opened a lot of doors to other technological advances, such as the telephone and many others. Therefore, it is important that the next time you get in your car, turn on the radio. Do not take it for granted, because it took a lot of great scientists to make the radio what it is today. Thank you.